Yo, what's good, my fellow chuds? If you guys are tired of getting absolutely brutalized and mogged by your buddies when it comes to your finances, this is the video for you because I'm going to tell you guys exactly how to start financial maxing your life. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. So first on the list here is lifestyle maxing. This is essentially the financial version of you who's trying to look rich instead of actually becoming rich. And essentially with this, you get a raise or you use whatever little bits of money you're making right now. And then suddenly you start looking into like penthouses in Miami, luxury cars, the corny designer clothing because some random guy on the internet who sells a course for $2,000 a month is telling you to do it. And then before you know it, pretty much every single dollar you make is already spent trying to maintain this fake image of yourself. And the funny part is that a lot of people who lifestyle max aren't actually wealthy. They're just financing this lifestyle that makes them look wealthy on the outside or on the internet. So real wealth, in my opinion, is having like options and freedom and money working for you in the background. And lifestyle maxing is usually the exact opposite. It locks you into this really expensive lifestyle, keeps your payments and your debt really high, and it keeps you dependent on your next paycheck. So basically the guy who makes like $80,000 a year and invests half of his money is probably doing a lot better financially than the guy making over $300,000 a year who's selling a course and then he's spending it all trying to look successful. And if you lifestyle max, your finances are going to get absolutely mogged. Next is investing maxing. So this is what happens when someone first discovers investing and then they make it like their entire personality. So typically they'll start buying like index funds or individual stocks, ETFs, gold, or they'll have like 20 positions in a taxable brokerage that's actually worth like $3,000. And the thing is, like, investing is one of the best wealth building tools on the planet for like the majority of people, but a lot of people really overcomplicate investing. They spend way more time trying to like optimize their portfolio than they do actually increasing their income or actually trying to contribute to their investments. So the biggest driver of wealth for most people will never be like finding the perfect investment. It's just consistently investing over a long period of time. That being said, investing is one of the highest return on investment things you can do financially. So if you're consistently investing, you're pretty decent and good at like staying diversified and you're letting the compound growth do its thing with your finances, you're pretty much already ahead of most people and you're on the right track to become financially free at some point in your life. Just don't turn a simple wealth building tool like investing into a full-time hobby or into something that's actually going to lose you money. But if you can do this the right way, long-term, long growth ETFs, you're going to be absolutely brutalizing your finances. Next up is income maxing. And if there's one thing that can solve a lot of financial problems, it's simply making more money. And a lot of people spend their time trying to save an extra like $50 a month or like not buy coffee while completely ignoring the fact that they could potentially increase their income by thousands of dollars a year. And income maxing is focusing on promotions, job hopping, learning valuable skills, negotiating your salary, building a side hustle, or just literally doing whatever you can to increase your earning potential without getting into like the hustle culture, like toxic mindset. And the reality is like there's only so much you can cut from your expenses. At some point, the bigger opportunity is actually increasing the income that's coming in. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean like working 100 hours a week and burning yourself out. But if you're in your 20s or your 30s and you're serious about building wealth, income is one of the biggest levers that you can have. And the people who typically build wealth the fastest have a combination of both. They have really strong income and really good financial habits. So if you can income max, you're literally going to be brutalizing finances. Next up on the list is career maxing. And I don't think this one gets talked enough about when it comes to personal finances. There's like this big wave of people right now who hate on everyone who has a 9 to 5 and not like 14 side hustles. But I truthfully think a 9 to 5 is one of the best wealth building tools you could ever have. And everyone wants to talk about stocks or side hustles, saving money, but your career is probably going to be the biggest wealth building tool that you have for the next 30 to 40 years. And career maxing is essentially just focusing on becoming as valuable as possible. Once again, learning new skills, taking on more responsibility in a smart way, networking, finding mentors, and switching companies when it makes sense. And a lot of people spend hours like researching investments that might make them a few $100s a year while completely ignoring the thing that could increase their income by like $10, $20, $50,000 a year. So if you're in your 20s, there's a really strong argument that focusing on your 9 to 5 can and will provide you a higher return than almost anything else you can do financially. So this is a great financial maxing tool. Next up is optimization maxing. This is when you become obsessed with optimizing every single financial decision in your life. So you're basically spending 3 hours doing research on which credit card gives you that extra 1% cash back. You're moving money between like 5 different accounts, trying to earn a little bit more interest where you can. You're spending a little bit more time tweaking your budget and actually making true financial progress. And don't get me wrong, optimization has its place. Like you should absolutely take advantage of things like employer matches, tax advantage accounts like a Roth IRA, high yield build savings account, and just other easy financial wins. But a lot of people end up spending way too much time on this. Like they end up getting so focused on squeezing out an extra $20 a month that they completely ignore the big things that actually move the needle, like income, investing, career growth, savings rate, etc. And once you've handled the major financial levers, then at that point, in my opinion, is the time to start optimizing. So this in general, I would say this is like min-maxing. Like it's not really doing a lot, but it can potentially save you an extra 20 to 30 bucks a month. Next up is debt maxing. And this is when someone convinces themselves that because some debt can be useful, they end up thinking like all debt is useful, or it's normalized, or it's fine, or it's whatever. And now they are financing like a car, they're financing furniture, they're using buy now, pay later, still financing their phone, financing vacation, literally financing every single aspect of your life. And really like think about your life. Like there's a lot of things you finance on a day-to-day basis without even understanding it. And the worst part about debt is it makes everything feel affordable. So instead of typically asking like, hey, can I afford this $5,000 item? A lot of people think like, can I afford the $120 payment for the next 3 years? And that's how a lot of people end up making $100K plus a year while somehow still feeling broke. Now, obviously not all debt is bad. You know, a reasonable mortgage is whatever, certain business investments, low interest debt, sure, can make sense. But debt maxing is literally taking the idea way too far and using it to justify every single purchase you make. And the more debt you take on, the less freedom you have. So if you're out there and you're debt maxing, you really need to start paying some of this debt off, because full debt maxing will absolutely mog your finances. Next up is credit score maxing. Look, the reality is in America, having a good credit score is extremely important. It can help you save money on loans, help you get approved for certain things, whether it's an apartment or a car, and it can just make certain financial decisions a lot easier. And I'd say like once you're in a good range, like probably 720 plus, the difference between an excellent credit score and like a slightly more excellent credit score usually isn't life-changing. The problem is when someone becomes completely obsessed with their credit score and starts treating it like it's their net worth. So they're checking it every week and keeping little tiny balances on their credit card because they heard that boosts their score. And a lot of those people spend more time trying to go from like a 780 credit score to an 810 credit score than they do actually trying to build their savings or increasing their income or actually investing on a daily consistent basis. A good credit score, especially in America, is a good tool, but it's not really the goal. I would say like once you get it to a healthy level, work on maintaining it and then move to things that actually build your wealth forward. So I would say this is mid-maxing for your finances. Next up is budget maxing. So like if you know where every single dollar goes, you've got the spreadsheets dialed in, you got some apps on your phone that tell you when you're spending too much money, and somehow like you know you've spent an extra $4 today when you didn't need to. I think it's one of the best financial habits you can have, honestly. Most people don't have a spending problem, they just have an awareness problem with their finances. I think that's the most underrated part about a budget, is that it's not necessarily there to keep you from spending money, but it's there to give you more awareness with your finances. Now, budget maxing can go too far. Like some people become so focused on tracking every dollar that they forget the point of money in the first place, and then they stress over tiny purchases while ignoring like their bigger financial picture. So the goal of a budget isn't to make your life miserable like a lot of people make it out to be. It's to make sure your money is going towards the things that actually matter to you and are actually going to make your life better in the long run. So if budgeting helps you save more, invest more, stay on track, that's amazing. At that point, it's working. If you're spending 3 hours a week updating spreadsheets to save $12, then at that point, in my opinion, you're kind of overdoing it. But overall, I'd say budget maxing is underrated. This is great for your finances. Next up is frugal maxing. Now, being frugal is one of the reasons a lot of people build wealth in the first place. Avoiding lifestyle inflation and living below your means are two things that can skyrocket your finances. But at the same time, if you refuse to buy anything, you won't go on trips, you won't eat out, you won't spend money on hobbies or experiences or things that genuinely improve your life because you're trying to save every last dollar, at that point, in my opinion, it does kind of get in the way a little bit. Because look, if you guys didn't know this, the goal is not to pass away with the largest investment portfolio possible. The goal is to use money as a tool to build a life that you actually enjoy. And some people are so focused on saving for the future that they do forget to live their life in the present. And there's always a balance, right? Like I always promote saving aggressively, investing consistently, avoiding wasting money, but don't become so cheap that you miss out on all the experiences that make your life worth actually living. So for this reason, I'm putting frugal maxing in the mid-maxing category. Next is skill maxing. People in their 20s are trying to make so much more money without becoming more valuable. Meanwhile, the people who are consistently learning and building new skills, those are the ones who are actually setting themselves up for bigger opportunities down the road. And I'm talking talking about both financial skills and just general life skills, learning how to invest is a skill. Learning how taxes work is a skill. Learning how to negotiate or sales or public speaking, networking, even budgeting. Those are all skills that we have to work on, and no one's just good at it when they first start. And the thing is, a single skill can completely change the trajectory of your life, whether that skill leads to a new job or a new opportunity, or just gets you better at being more valuable when it comes to your life or your career or whatever it might be. And unlike a lot of other things, no one can take skills away from you. People can take your money away, but they can't take your skills away. And the more skills that you stack, the more valuable you become as an employee or just a person in general. And through that, you're going to create more opportunities. And the more opportunities you create, the easier it becomes to actually make more money. It takes time, but it does work. So skill maxing, this is financial maxing at its finest. This is great. Next up is saving maxing. And saving money is amazing. Everyone watching this video should have an emergency fund. You should have some level of financial cushion. That way, when life punches you in the face with a problem, you're not going to be stressed or anxious about your finances. Thing is, saving is a double-edged sword, because at the same time, you don't necessarily want $50,000 to $100,000 just sitting there in cash, earning next to nothing, while inflation eats away at the value of it depending on your situation. So money sitting in a checking account does not compound. Money sitting in a savings account is only going to take you so far, and at some point that money actually needs a job to start compounding and really seeing true growth. So saving money is going to be how you build that financial security, but investing is going to be how you build that true financial wealth. So while I think everyone should save aggressively, you should absolutely have 3 to 6 months of cash on hand sitting in an emergency fund in a high yield savings account. Saving maxing without ever investing or putting that money to work can actually hold you back financially. But at the end of the day, this is still financial maxing at its finest. Next is emotional control maxing, and most financial mistakes aren't caused by a lack of knowledge, believe it or not. They're caused by all these emotions that get wrapped up when it comes to your finances. People panic sell when the market drops. They buy things they can't afford because they're stressed. They gamble because they're desperate. They revenge spend after a bad day. They make impulsive decisions because they want instant gratification. And a lot of that boils down to emotional control. The person with the average financial knowledge and great emotional control will usually outperform the person with incredible financial knowledge and terrible emotional control, because at the end of the day, we all know the blueprint for building wealth at this point. It's spend less than you make, invest consistently, avoid stupid mistakes, and just give it time. The hard part is actually controlling yourself long enough to see that actually work. And it doesn't just help your finances, but it also helps everything. It helps your relationships, your career, your health, and pretty much everything else you do in life. So if you can emotional control max, you're literally going to be brutalizing finances. So that wraps up my tier list on how to start financial maxing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if this was brain rot or not, but hopefully at the end of the day now, you should be able to absolutely mog your buddies with your finances and pretty much know exactly what's going to point you in the right direction. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.